Hello, welcome to today's video. My name is Maggie and my blog is called Honestly Maggie. So just a quick little background. I was gonna make this whole great big setup and then I just realized no. This is where you are at right now. This is your house. You live in the upstairs of your home, and so this is real life. That's why there's a refrigerator behind me and I'm sitting at a dining room table because my home is still under construction and this is how I'm living. So that's why today's video is where I am right now. So you can probably tell by the description that today's video is all about my bullet journal. And I have two bullet journals right here. This one in my left hand was my 2018 bullet journal, and this one right here is my 2019 bullet journal. So I thought that I would quickly go over last year's bullet journal and then quickly go through this year's bullet journal and then kind of compare and contrast what I kept and what I did not keep. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Okay, so these two bullet journals are exactly the same. They are from a company called TekuCore.com, but I purchased them on Amazon. They have 3 bookmarks, the pages are numbered, and there is a pocket on the back of each one. The calendar tabs I also purchased from Amazon. They're just like stickers that you stick on the one page and you fold over. So starting with 2018, so the reason why this bullet journal has marble contact paper is because there was a tear in the front of it and then the binding actually started to break. So I put contact paper over the front of it to protect it. So when you open it up, the first page, I just had a note from Brandon and a Majeri sticker. I put my name and information. If you follow the original bullet journal, there's all these different symbols that mean something. So task complete, migrated. Watch the original bullet journal video and it would give you a lot of insight onto how this is all created. I would actually recommend doing that before you even start your own bullet journal. I will link the original bullet journal video in the description box below so that you can get a good idea of why it was created and why it's helped so many people. I created an index, but actually I've never ever used it, as you can see. I have my passwords on the front page, which obviously you can't see. And then I created a year at a glance calendar. Since I started in April of last year, that's where my bullet journal starts. So I have a monthly overview of April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. As you can see, I kind of stopped using the overview, but I still think it's a helpful tool. I really liked the original bullet journal method of a monthly overview, which is like a grid spacing instead of like a calendar overlay. I thought that that was very helpful. You'll see why I changed a lot in my bullet journal for this year, which is why I think it's important to think of your bullet journal as something that's very fluid, and if it doesn't work, change it. And if it works, keep using it. It's really something that you can take on a month-by-month basis. So as you can see, for April, I had my weekly spread all weird. Like I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with a to-do list, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with another list. And then I didn't like my week broken up. I wanted to see my week in one page. So then I did all my week on one page with my to-do list. And I actually ended up doing that for a while, and until, I don't know, like months, a couple months. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like my month broken up like that. I want to see my week on one overview. I didn't like this layout. So the next month I started doing my week on the top with like my to-do list on the bottom. And I did that for a long time until maybe like several months later when I started to do my week at the top and then just a chunk. You can see like I have a whiteout right here. I did a chunk of to-dos. So like my week at the top and then the bottom. So I use my bullet journal more of a kind of like a planner. Some people use it as a planner, but like I actually write out my daily appointments in it. And I find it to be really helpful for just planning out my week, writing my to-do lists and notes. As a realtor, I also use it to track my sales. The first thing, most of this is gonna be like blotted out so people's names and addresses are protected. But what I did like about the bullet journal was I really liked being able to track my weekly sales. So I had the number transaction it was, so if it was the first, my first transaction going all the way down, the address and the client, the date that it closed, the sales price, the commission price, the gross commission sale, and the net to me. So that was a way that I could keep track of that. I color coded it, so if it was a buyer, it was pink, and if it was a listing, it was green. And that's how I kept track of that. I also kept track of where people were in the process of their purchase, and I started to do that last year, but what ended up happening was I didn't go back and I wasn't really diligent about writing in the dates. So instead, now I just write them on the actual date of the calendar instead of having a separate place to store them. I kept a running log of ideas that I had for like my blog or for my business, and I just kind of jotted them down. I had a page for people I knew I would be working with as buyers and people I knew that I would be working with as sellers. This page was something that I took away from Rach Lee, and she had a page in her bullet journal of things that she wanted to check out. So movies, TV shows, podcasts, and books. And there were a couple of things that I didn't implement this until the end of 2018. Then I had a whole section for blog post ideas, and then I categorized them to the tabs that were on my blog. So I have an at work tab, an at home tab, a real estate 101 tab, and a style tab. And then after all of this, I had a content calendar where I planned out what was going to be on my blog and what section it coordinated to. So I kind of color coded what each of the tabs were going to be and then what it was in the calendar. This was me just kind of figuring things out and not really knowing how to bullet journal, and just kind of like watching other people's videos, figuring out what worked for me, and kind of doing it that way. I made so many improvements for 2019, so that one I feel like is a much better bullet journal. So then at the end, I just kept, towards the end of the year, I was thinking about blog posts that I wanted to do for January. And so I had a page for January posts. And then I had a few pages where I was just jotting down my, like, I have this one page called Hopes and Dreams. I was just feeling really journaly, like I really wanted to write something down. So I have that. Then I had some to-do lists. I work with a consultant. Her name is Allison, and she's amazing. And so a lot of these pages are filled with tasks that I had to do for my blog and for my business that Allison and I would work on together. And some of these are notes from podcasts or webinars that I attended. And then I have some goals that I had for 2019. So yeah. So I actually had a few blank pages for the end of 2019. And I definitely don't have that problem for 2019. So that's that one. For my 2019 bullet journal, I obviously haven't covered it yet. Hopefully I don't need to. The binding still looks pretty good. It's the exact same journal as last year. And this year I decided to get my own tabs and write them out because I thought that the ones from last year's bullet journal were like really flimsy and I didn't like how they like folded, and I just didn't like that they didn't stay straight. So I got these tabs. They're just like sticky, but they're firmer and you can write on them. So I wrote out the month for each one. They're metallic Avery tabs. So this one, I love my 2019 bullet journal so much more than my 2018 one. I finally feel like I've got it like a system going. So 2018 was the year of like figuring it out, and 2019 was the year of implementing and getting things rolling. One of the first pages I have is a grid. So this is another idea from Amanda Rach Lee. She has an awesome bullet journaling channel. I really recommend checking it out. She has a grid in the front of her bullet journal that numbers all of the dots. So it's like a quick glance what number is where in case you're planning out your spread. Again, I have my passwords and like shortcuts to things. So instead of doing one page of a year at a glance, I actually ended up doing a few pages. And then another thing that I changed for this year is I used to have the monthly spread at the beginning of each month in my planner, but that to me like just really broke it up weirdly. And so now it's just all in one area. So I divided it up into monthly spreads and then the planner spread. So right in the beginning, I have all of my months and I can write down holidays and events. And let me say, this is really helpful if you haven't completely finished all of the dates and months for your future planner. This is really good because if there's an important date that you need to remember, like a birthday or a wedding or a vacation or something like that, you can leave it here and not worry that you're gonna forget to put it in your weekly planner once you get that done. So that's why I really like doing this, because it just gives you an overview of what your months are going to look like. This year, I am tracking my social media growth. I have never done that before, and one of my goals this year is to grow my social media. So I just wrote down the number of followers and connections and page views and weekly subscribers that I have. And I think it's important to see, not that I'm obsessed with numbers, but I would like to compare the beginning of 2019 to the end of 2019, how my growth has changed and if I grew at all, and hopefully I do. So that's just what I have here. And then I have content ideas for each month. So that's actually where my tabs start. I have January content, and then I have my monthly content for the blog. So it's actually planned out in the calendar. And then I have a brain dump. So the way this works is, I have the calendar that we're in right now. So we're in January right now. The next page, I have a February brain dump. So this is everything that I want to do in February for the blog. And then I have the content calendar. And then I'll have the March brain dump. And then I'll have the March calendar, and so on and so forth. So it just goes brain dump and then calendar. So this is a way for me to stay organized. Like if I want to write something down, like, oh, I want to blog about this for May, and And then like this is kind of where it gets dumped, and then the May content is where I'm actually planning out where it's gonna go and how like strategic it will be. And then this is where in the calendar is where it goes. So it might not make sense to everybody, but for me it makes sense because it's a better way for me to stay organized, and I can dump it onto one page and then kind of then plan it out on the opposite. So then that's I planned that out for each month of the year, so that's done. And then once we get to this red tab, this begins my weekly calendar. So I actually kept, I'll go to a blank page. I actually kept the same layout for my my weekly scheduling and my weekly planner. I actually really like the way this is planned out. I have the days of the week up at the top, and then instead of calling it a to-do list, I've labeled it notes. And this is either something like I can jot down someone's phone number if I'm on the phone with them, or an email address, or I can make a to-do list if I need to, but it's just a way for me to spread it out. And I like this layout a lot. And so I've kept it this way for several months, and I definitely plan on continuing to keep it this way. What's really cool is that since the pages are numbered, I can plan out what the rest of the year is going to be and how many pages it is. So, you know, 52 weeks times 2 for each page. So I got to the end of the year, and then I started a notes page. And in my notes page, I have, that's exactly what it is. It's if I'm at a conference, if I'm at a seminar, if I'm at an event, then I can take notes. Right before my notes page, I'm tracking my sales again for my real estate business. So right before the notes page, I have the addresses and information for my closings this year, and then broken down on at the bottom is the quarter. So like what the units were for the quarter. And then on the opposite page, I just have it both buyers and sellers on one page. And then this is a way for me to keep track of the families and clients that I'm working with for that year. So this is something that I definitely implemented. This really worked for me last year to track my growth and track my sales. And now I can keep it in one space, and then I can look at them simultaneously, my clients and what they are, the address they're doing. And then I keep track of where they are in the buying and selling process in my monthly calendar. So I just keep that in there. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, if you learned a little bit, give this video a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, or you would like to know like anything more about bullet journaling, or you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. And yeah, that's it. I appreciate you watching. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.